Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Age of Mythology was a very popular video game, computer game back in the day, so of course we got a board game version of it, and they really tried hard to do something different. So in the game you have 3 different factions, which are represented here. So there's some major problems with this game, so let me talk about it. First, the combat was just blah. People didn't like it. It was a rock, paper, scissors variant, and it did not go over very well. Now, there are people who've taken that concept and kind of changed it, house rolled it. There's some decent variants that are available if you don't mind fixing your game. I think one of the big things they did here was there wasn't a map. I think from playing the game and the resources that you were getting in it, you expected a map that you were moving your characters around in. You get these beautiful miniatures that are included. I mean, tons of miniatures in this game, but they all kind of just sit there. They don't really have a purpose because there's no map to move them around. I think that's kind of lost on this game. I get it. They were trying to make a Euro version of this game. They were trying to do something a little bit different at the time, and I don't think that it works. So if you want to give them some points for being innovative at the time, maybe not so much innovation if it was released today, but at the time it was very innovative. But I think they lost the core concept of what made the video game work and what people were looking for in this game. With that said, it's not a very strong game either. I mean, it's okay. I think it shines with 3 players. I think that it's a fine experience. But I think you're really, if you're going to invest in this, like you're a big video gamer and you really want to play this game, I think you're going to invest in some of the variants, some of the house rules to try to get this to work the best that it can work, right? So I think that's what you're going to be looking at. Otherwise, it's kind of a dull experience. Not one that kind of fits the market that they're going after with the Euro elements involved in this. You know, and I think it was one of the very first hybrids that you saw with Ameritrash and Euros coming together, and not with the spectacular conclusion here. So this is one that I think most people will probably want to skip. I don't think it's one that you'll want to play. If you're really a big fan of the video game, perhaps, but I don't think there's a lot here. And this game has been far surpassed what's been released since it. So this isn't exactly a classic, and it's been done far better. Like Kemet or something like that. Done far better than what you see here. So, absolute purge. I don't think there's any reason to go back in time and play this one. Just let this one fly away in time and just say, you know, I'm out on this one. Absolute purge. Here's Age of Mythology, the board game. This used to be a very popular computer game. It's going to be a decent-sized box, but not one of the coffin boxes that were kind of popular at the time. You can open it up. You'll see a rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. You're going to get any number of these plastic armies. I just have them all bagged up. They're fairly nice. They wouldn't kind of hold up today's miniatures, but they were pretty good for the time period. If you wanted some extra miniatures, there are a ton in here. And they're going to come in the different colors. Or the different. Now you can play 7 or 8 if you have enough of these kind of set up here. You're going to get some cubes. These are big giant cubes. You're going to get some tiles. Their thickness isn't the most thick that I've ever seen. And some cards. The quality is okay. This is a game from a different era. They're a little bit on the thin side. You can see some of the artwork, which I actually kind of like on it. Get some regular dice. And then when you open this up, you're going to get any number of boards. These will just kind of sit flat on there, and then you're going to have the player board. So the quality is not what you would get today in 2020, but for the time period, we're actually pretty good, and you had a lot on here. Here's a rule book for Age of Mythology, and you get the picture from the front of the book. You're going to get components, but you're not going to get any pictures here. They're going to have an introduction. This is just flavor text right here. This is going to go over gameplay a little bit, tell you about the components that you're going to have. This will give you the pictures you were looking for earlier. And then setup through here. This will be set up the game, and then for the players. And a little bit will bleed over here. This is really where the game will start. There's plenty of examples and little strategy parts that you'll see there. And it'll go through each of the possible actions, and then how a battle will go on the game. Now, there's no map in this game that you would probably think. Here's any of the game and the victory points at the end, and a sample turn through here. That will very help you out, and then some advertisement for some other games that were available at the time. The rule book's okay. I found it a little I'm not a huge fan of the rule set in general. I think the rules do a pretty good job of explaining it. I think that you'll be able to learn the game. You probably need maybe an hour to sit down and read this, maybe 30 to 45, 60 minutes, depending on how quickly you can read and how well you can pick up what's going on here. I'm not going to teach you all the rules for this game. I'm just going to do a quick overview here and give you an idea of how it plays. So you're going to have these victory point cards out, borrowed heavily from Settlers Catan at the time, and you'll have these red victory point cubes. What the players will do, they'll take turns placing these cubes on here, and that's what will score. So the largest army, or the wonder, or the most buildings, or whoever won the last battle. So the players each round will put these cubes on these and maybe decide how things are going to score for the round, and these are the victory point cards. So in your faction, you'll have a set of cards. Some of them will be permanent, and some of them will be random. Based on the age that you're in, you will be able to select a number of cards that will be in your hand. And these cards will do different things like gather food, or trade, or allow you to explore, maybe attack somebody else. Or there may be just some action cards here like Chariot Archers that are battle cards, or Next Age, or Gather. So you'll be able to choose a number of cards to be in your hand, and you can either choose the permanent ones or draw the random ones that will be into your hand for the turn. And based on the age or turn that you're in the game, you will have a different number of these. Each of the factions will have their own set of cards, so they will work a little bit differently depending on which faction you're going to be. Then there'll be 3 rounds of playing the cards, and you'll just do what they say. And I'll take a look at these cards in a few minutes and go over what they do. But just know that there'll be 3 rounds. You'll be able to play these cards. So let's say in the classical age you have 5 cards, you'll be able to play 3 of them. Then you'll have these cubes, which will make up things that you'll be able to get. At this point, you'll have spoilage. You can only have 5 resources of each resource type. So the wood or the gold, you only have 5 of each. So that may be a strategy that you go into when you're doing these actions. The first card you'll see is the Explorer card. You draw 1 more tile than the number of players. This will allow you to get resource tiles that will produce goods for you. The Gather card will allow you to reposition your villagers to different areas of your personal board. You also have a Build card. This will allow you to build structures that will help you out during the game. You also have a Recruit card that will allow you to get more of your miniatures or people into your village. And then the Trade card will allow you to exchange cubes of certain colors with others from the bank. So each of these will be one of your generic actions that you can take based on the card play. Now the other card that you can play is the Attack card. This is going to be a card you would utilize, obviously, if you want to fight one of the other players at the table. Then you would go into a combat round. I'm going to go into in depth in this, but know that there are attack cards that you can utilize to play through. Each of the miniatures you have will be worth a number of points, which you will deduce or deduct from what your opponent has, plus any cards that you're able to play in the battle. Now, the battles are going to play out a lot like paper, rock, scissors, depending on which people you're playing versus which miniatures they're playing. So putting all this aside, what are we trying to do? The game will end when the wonder is built, or the end of the turn when the last victory point cube is removed. So as these are going through, these will have the victory point cubes that are on them. As these are removed and there are not any more cubes on them, then the game will end. Then you'll add up whoever has the most victory points, and that is going to be your winner. It's going to be a very abstract game. There isn't going to be a map per se. People will have these areas that they have and they will be putting up, but there's no area that like the boards don't connect in order to make a big map, which is going to be a turnoff for some gamers. If you look here at the top, this will be the structure cost that you have, how many cards are drawn each turn, a little bit of an area here down at the bottom, but everything that you do will be fairly abstract as there's not a map with guys walking around on the board. Who should buy this game? I think this game is just for people that are fans of the video game. If you're not a fan of the video game, there's no reason to look here. It's got some beautiful miniatures that maybe you can use in other games. But the game itself, the core concept of what you're doing here, I don't think that this is going to appeal to most people. If you watch the flow of the game and you're like, this is for me, so be it. Otherwise, absolutely.
Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel. Lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing.